All right, today we are going to do a little experiment making tea bags into rockets. What you need for this experiment before we begin is a tea bag, like you can buy at the store, matches, scissors, and I have a little dish, or you can have a plate, anything works. And first, I just want you to observe what I'm doing, and then the second time around, we can figure out the science behind it. So what the first step is going to be is take your tea bag facing upwards, and you are going to cut, and carefully with your scissors and matches. That's a really important point before we begin. Have them in a safe place, or if you're doing this at home, have an adult around. You're going to take your tea bag and cut a straight line along the top of the tea bag. I'll demonstrate that. I'm slowly, carefully doing that so that none of the tea inside falls out before I want it to. You can set the top of the tea bag away because you won't be needing that, and I'm gonna open up very carefully the tea bag and dump out all the little leaves into my dish, or if you have a plate, wherever you want to store them. We won't be needing those. What we're going to be using is this tube of paper from our tea bag. And that tube, I'm going to set down. Let's see if I can. Just like that. And I'll take one of my matches and I'm going to light the top of the tea bag and let it burn. And I want you to take a minute to predict what's gonna happen when I light that tea bag on fire and the flame goes down. So again, we wanna be careful with our matches and put a little pressure to light our match. The flame goes upward. Carefully light the edge of the paper, and now watch very carefully. So what happened to the ashes of our tea bag when the flame made it all the way to the bottom? I also want to note that you want to be careful and blow out your match right away when you do that. I'm just going to set mine in my dish right now. So that tea bag, if you noticed, flew way up into the air just like a rocket ship. And now I want us to think, why did that happen? So as I do this again, we are going to unpack some of the science around that. So what was my first step again? What did I do? I took a scissors and I cut a straight line along the top of the tea bag, being very careful not to spill any of the tea. And I put the top aside. I don't need that anymore. And what am I doing next? I am dumping out the leaves into my little dish. Now, after that, I set my tea bag tube up straight, just like that. And I lit the tip of it on fire. And what happens when fire gives us heat, right? It's really hot. And so the air inside of that tube is getting really warm. And what happens to warm air? Which direction does it go? And maybe think about if you ever have a really warm cup of tea, and you see the steam coming out, which direction, use your finger and point, which direction does that steam go? Up, that's right. And so as the hot air in the center of the tube is pushing up, it has enough force by the end when it reaches the bottom to push all of those final ashes high up into the air. So I'm gonna do that one more time and we will demonstrate and look for that science now that we know what's going on. So I'm carefully lighting my match and blowing it out right after. Whoops. Just around the edge. And that air in the center of our tube is getting hotter and hotter and hotter until it can lift off way up into the sky. A pretty fun experiment that you can do at home safely. Thanks for watching.